interesting parsha to study. And before any further commentaries, let's go to the parsha, Parshas Shelach. Tell you exactly the page if you want to follow me. That's in the book of Bamidbar, Numbers, and tell you exactly. Here we are. It's page 798. I'd like to dedicate this class for the Refuah Shalema of Eliezer ben Chaya Rochel, and also for Yaakov ben Yitzchok HaKohen. And now we are going to start the class, and follow me if you can. Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe, and God spoke to Moses, Limor, saying, Shlach lechu anoshim, send for yourself men, Yosu es Eretz Canaan, and let them scatter, spy out the land of Canaan, Asher ani nosin livnei Yisrael, that I give to the Jewish people, ish echod, one man to each tribe, according to the houses of their families, of their tribes. All of them shall be a prince. So what are we talking about? The Jewish people are in the desert now, and they just received the Torah. It's time to enter the promised land. And suddenly, they petition Moses, that they would like to have scouts spy out the land before they actually invade the land. Scouts, spies. But that's very disappointing. Because who is leading them in battle? God himself, right? So what do you mean you need spies? It's ridiculous. You know, if a mother or a father raises a child and they sacrifice for that child all their lives, and then the child says to the mother or to the father, I don't know if I can trust you. I mean, that's so painful. Hashem nurtured us. Hashem caused the Red Sea for us, parted the sea and made it dry land. Hashem sent the plagues upon Egypt, which destroyed Egypt. Hashem took us in his arms and carried us, so to speak. And now we have to have spies to tell us if we could conquer the land. Who is going to be leading us? Who is our general? Hashem himself. We need these spies to tell us. So why is it happening? And if you know the book of Genesis, then we know that our father Abraham was told by God, Lech lecha, go for yourself. And that was very good. So what is the difference between Lech lecha, go for yourself, or Shlach lecha, send for yourself? In the first case, Lech lecha, God is the one who commands, go. Go. But here, the people petition. So you have to understand that if God tells you to do something and you follow his instructions, you're in business. But if it's your own idea, and it's against the will of God, you won't make it. So after all these experiences, miracle after miracle, to say to God, we want to send scouts to spy out the land, where is your faith? How do you do this? So obviously, something is wrong. So God says, for my sake, because of me, you shouldn't send any. But if they want to go, if you want to send them, send them. So why is Moses allowing them to go? Why does he send them? Let me ask you. You have a son. You have a daughter. Teenager. Don't go to that party. I don't want you to go. They have drugs, they have this, they have that. I don't want you to go. Oh, Mom, leave me alone, please. Dad, leave me alone. I know. What do you think, I'm a baby? I can handle it. Son, I beg you, don't go. You won't be able to handle it. Please. Of course I can handle it. What am I, baby? I'm 17 years old. And you walk out. Can your mother or father do something about that? Can you lock up an adult child? What can you do? Can you put them in a straitjacket? So at the end of the day, you have to allow freedom. And the person who does what he does has to take responsibility. God did not create us to be robots. We are not robots. Each of us have free will. We have the choice to follow God, We have the choice not to follow him. But we have to face consequences. See, our problem is that we make a choice not to follow him. I want to be happy. I want to do what I want to do. No one is going to tell me what to do. This is America. Who are you to tell me what to do? God only wants me to be happy. That's it. I never saw a commandment in the Torah that says be happy. It's not part of the 10 Commandments. You shall be happy. You shall be good, yes. Choose that which is good. There's a big difference. Even in Rosh Hashanah, do we say have a happy new year in Hebrew? No. In Lashon HaKodesh, in the Holy Tongue, we say Shana Tavo, a good new year. There's a huge difference between have a happy new year and have a good new year. Because happiness could also mean, I want to take drugs. I want to drink. That's how I'm happy. Or I don't want to quote some of the things that people are doing these days. It's in the headlines. Okay? Because we are in front of the Torah, in front of the Ark, so I'm not going to remind you, but all of America is talking about it. This is news for the front page. I mean, it's a shanda, it's a shame, it's ridiculous that the world is burning and we are consumed by all this stupidity. I mean, can you imagine that? The world is burning and America is concentrating on, I don't want to say what, But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that our media stoops so low. And we don't understand what is going on. So if we choose that type of a life, then it's our responsibility. It's our choice. God is not a puppeteer, and we are not puppets. So at the end, if we choose to go a certain way, we have to say, I am responsible. And you cannot say, why didn't you prevent me, God? You should have prevented me. No, God gives you the Torah. It's up to you to make the choice. Everybody with me? So who are these people who are going? They are all the heads of the tribe. Each of them is a prince in his own tribe. The elite of the Jewish people. Each of them is brilliant, and they are listed over here not in accordance to their genealogy, not in accordance to their birth, not to say that the older one comes first and so on, but in accordance to their brilliance. So let me show you who is the first one. According to their brilliance, so you should understand. On page 798, sentence 4. And these are the names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shamua ben Zakur. From the tribe of Reuben, we had Shamua ben Zakur. What does that mean? What does Shema mean? To hear. Zakur comes from the word Zachor. He was brilliant. He was able to hear. He understood what you told him. And Zakur was able to recall. He had perfect memory. Perfect recall. Is that brilliant or not? You understand what people say and you recall. Your memory is impeccable. The most brilliant. And then it goes on and on. Describes the person from the tribe of Judah. Kolev ben Yefuna. Kolev means heart. Ke-lev, like a heart. The word love in English comes from the word lev, heart in Hebrew. Because Lashon HaKodesh, the Holy Tongue, is the root of all languages. Ke-lev, like a heart, is the name of this man. He's all heart. Kolev, from the tribe of Judah. Ben Yufuno, he's the son of Yufuno, which means that he's able to turn to people with his heart and reach their hearts. He was amazing. He was amazing. And he's listed as one of the princes from the tribe of Judah who he sent. As a matter of fact, you should understand, how do you say Hebrew, in Hebrew, dog? Dog is called Kelev, which means Ke-lev, like a heart. Because the dog is the animal that has most loyalty to humankind. So Adam is the one who gave names to all the animals, and Adam decided to call the animal Kelev, a dog, Ke-lev, like a heart. So Kolev is the next. Now, The next one we are talking about now is listed as the fifth. He's not that bright, right? The fifth. He's not a genius. His name is Hosea. And Moses changes his name to Yehoshua and blesses him. That God should protect him from the counsel, from the advice, from the plans and the schemes of the spies. Caleb and Yehoshua are the only two princes who came back with a positive report. So there are 12 princes, and 10 of them sinned terribly. Why do we have to have a minyan to this day? What's a minyan? How many people? 10. Because we have to make up for the sin to this day of the spies. A minyan. And how foolish women are in secular synagogues. They don't know what they are doing. They ask for the privilege of being part of the minyan. This minyan is a tikkun, is there to fix the sin of the tribes, the princes who sinned, who spied out the land. The women never sinned. They were never given the obligation of a minyan. Women always said, let's go to the land of Israel. They always had faith. So can you imagine women in the name of freedom want to have a minyan? Do you understand this, how little people know? How people are totally so confused? They fight for a minyan. Are you kidding? You should be so privileged that you don't have to have a minyan. That God accepts your prayer when you sit in your kitchen or in your living room or in your den. Do you understand what happened to Jewry? Ignorance, ignorance, ignorance. So, getting back to this, Caleb and Hosea are the only two people who came out and reported a blessing, a positive report. It's easy. Let's conquer the land. All the others sinned. So let's try to understand what this means. Why did God, that is to say, I'm sorry, why did Moses change the name of Hosea to Yehoshua? Added a yud in front of his name. Why? Because Yehoshua means God will help. God should guide him. Yeh means a future tense. Yehoshua, God will guide you. God will help. And the Midrash says something amazing. Where did Moses get the yud from, the letter yud? It says from the name of Mother Sarah, because before Mother Sarah became the first Jewess, her name was Sarai with a yud. God changed her name from Sarai to Sarah. So God took the yud from the name of Mother Sarah at the end, Sarai was at the end of her name, and placed it in front of Yehoshua. So it's instead of Hosea, it becomes Yehoshua. Everybody follows me? So it says in the Midrash that little Yud went up to the throne of God and said, God, why did you do this to me? I was so happy to be in the name of Mother Sarah, that righteous woman, the matriarch. Why did you take me away and put me into somebody else's name? So the whole thing seems ridiculous, no? Can a Yud talk? Can a Yud talk? And God cannot create another Yud. He has to take it from Mother Sarah. Does it make sense? Absolutely. First of all, you should know everything in this world talks. A blade of grass speaks, but you don't understand that language. Every bird, when the bird chippers, it speaks. When the lion roars, it's speaking, but you don't understand what that means. We do not understand the sound of nature. Every creation that God created speaks. The only one who understood, not completely, was King Solomon. Was the wisest of all men. So Hashem, the Almighty God, tells the Yud, don't you worry. I'm placing you in front of the name of your child who will come generations after you. Generations after Mother Sarah will lead my people into the land of Israel. So why did God have to take Why did God have to tell Moses to take the name Yud for Mother Sarah? Why couldn't he take any Yud? Because Mother Sarah told her father Abraham, La yivash ben homo hazos imbani. Listen, my husband, I will not allow this son, Ishmael, which means the Muslims, to inherit this land together with my son. It won't work. This is the land of my son, Isaac, and his descendants, the Jewish people. You cannot mix the two. And God wanted, Moses wanted, Hosea to know that when he comes to this land, he shouldn't make any treaties. He shouldn't give away the land. We need that Yehoshua today to remind us. Because look what we gave away. God gave us the land in 1967, Yerushalayim, Hebron, a miracle that no one could ever dare to dream. If I would have time, I would tell you miracle after miracle after miracle. You can't even comprehend it. It's beyond comprehension. For the first time in 2,000 years, we came home. You know what we did? We gave away the keys to the Temple Mount to the Muslims. We didn't know what Mother Sarah said. We gave away the keys in Hebron to Morat HaMachpelah, the cave of Machpelah, to Ishmael. We gave away the land, and now we want to give more. And they are demanding it now. Demanding it. When I was in Israel, I'll never forget, right after the Six-Day War, I had a debate with a Muslim, with an Arab, and he said to me, this land belongs to us, he said. We would never give away the graves of our fathers and mothers. What sort of a nation gives away the graves, the holy sites of their people? We would die first. We would die first. Do you understand this? Do you understand the tragedy of today? Hashem gives us a gift and we don't understand it. We don't have a Hosea with a Yud. You cannot allow that to happen. So he takes the Yud from Mother Sarah. Now Yud, the letter Yud, can you visualize it in your eyes? It's like a tiny dot. The letter Yud is a tiny dot. Yud is the only letter in the Hebrew alphabet that you cannot change. It's always a Yud. If you try to change it, it's not a Yud anymore. For example, if you try to make the Yud longer, what does it become? A Vav. If you try to make the Yud wider, it becomes a Resh. And so it is with every letter. You could change it. You could make a wider He, you could make a wider Dalet, you could make a wider Aleph, you could make a bigger Aleph. It doesn't change. Yud, if you make it bigger, or if you make it wider, it's not a Yud anymore. Everybody follows me? The Jewish people have to remain Yuds. Nobody can ever change us. Winter or summer, Holocaust or peace. No matter where God takes us, exile or Jerusalem, we remain Jews. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew. All nations could become Russians, Americans, Spanish, and after a few generations, they are absorbed, even one generation. Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, are forever Jews, no matter where they are. Because we are Yuds. And when my father would always say, when you put two Yuds together, two Yiddelach, that's in Yiddish, two Yuds, that's the name of God. You spell God with two Yuds. When two Jews love each other, when there is harmony, then God is there. Then God is there. So Moshe Rabbeinu takes the Yud and gives it to Hosea. Now it's Yehoshua. Yehoshua. And it's called Bin Nun. It's a one dot. Usually it's Ben, 3 dots. Ben Nun. It's not Bin Nun. B-I-N, if you could say it that way. It's B and 1 dot underneath, which means which means bin. Why? Because mostly it's ben, the son of. Because who creates a human being? Father, mother, and God. But Yehoshua was the disciple of Moshe Rabbeinu, and is the spiritual mother and father who teaches Torah, who creates the neshama, the soul that elevates the person. So it's one dot. It's the Torah that makes you. Otherwise, you're like any Jew in the market. The Torah makes you different. Ben Nun. And that is what makes you an elevated person. Now my question to you is, why didn't Moses bless all the tribes? He could have changed everybody's name. As a matter of fact, you know that if somebody is in danger, God forbid, they have some terminal illness or something terrible happened to them, we change their names. Not that we change it actually because you can't change a name, but you add another name to it. Like you add Chaim for a boy, life, or Chaya for a girl, life. So why didn't Moses bless everybody? Why didn't he change everybody's name? And by the way, why do we change a name? Because then they have a different identity. So why didn't he change the name of everybody? Why did he bless everybody? You know why? Blessings don't work unless you want those blessings. Bless me, but you have to believe in the blessing. Give me a bracha, but you have to believe in the bracha. If you take that bracha and doesn't have any meaning to you, then the bracha won't work. And the others did not want the bracha, did not want the blessing, didn't have any desire for it. And why didn't Hashem bless Kolev ben Yefunah, who came back with a positive report without a blessing? He came back with a positive report without a blessing. How come? You know why? Kolev ben Yefunah, in addition to the fact that his name was like a heart, who knows how to turn people's heart, bring out the heart. He was married, it says, to Miriam, the prophetess. If you are married to a Miriam, then you don't need a blessing, because she is your blessing. When a man and a woman get married, then the woman has to go around the man 7 times. Secular Jews thought they are going to be so clever, and they made that ceremony obsolete. It's archaic. What do you mean a woman should walk around a man 7 times? Instead you say, I do, and I will cherish, I will honor. Can you say that? What if you want to just change your life because this man that you married or this woman that you married is not what you thought they would be? What if that man is abusive? The Torah makes provisions for divorce, not because we are happy with a divorce. It's a tragedy, but certainly the Torah makes provisions for it. So instead of abiding by your traditions that are thousands of years old, secular Jews adopted the new way, and they no longer walk around the bridegroom. The girl no longer walks around him. She says, cherish and all that stuff. Oh, I do. She says some words that this clergy is going to give her. So what is the meaning of walking around 7 times without saying a word? That's 7 days in the week. And she gives her pledge. I will be your wall of protection 7 days of week, my honey. I will be your protection 7 days a week. I'm going around you. I'm enveloping you with my love. Not for 1 day, 7 days a week. Can this little girl do that to this long, big, tall guy? Is that possible that she could do that? My husband, for example, was 6'2". And look at me. Even with high heels, I'm quite petite. So how is it possible for a woman to do this, to protect a big, big, strong man, this little woman? Because you know who is walking with you? You're not walking alone. We have seven great ones in our lives. 3 patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And 4 matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. 3 and 4 is how much? 7. So the patriarchs and the matriarchs are going to help you to keep your home holy and sacred. And today, how tragic it is that guys go on a date and they say, you know, what does she look like? What size? Does she play ball? Is she athletic? Because I like tennis. Is she a good dresser? And no one ever asks, will she protect me? Will she walk around me? Will she be my blessing on the road of life? It doesn't even occur to people to ask that question. It doesn't even occur, never mind to ask. Do you understand where our society is today? So is it any wonder that most marriages are failures? Most marriages are failures. And the divorce rate is so high because, and many of the marriages that do not end in a divorce are still not happy ones, you know that. But it's too expensive to get a divorce, or it's too inconvenient, all kinds of considerations, children involved, all kinds of things. But it doesn't mean that they are happy marriages. And the girls don't even have the foggiest idea that there could be walls of protection. They don't even know that. The only thing they look at is how deep are his pockets. Not how deep is his heart and soul. And if he has deep pockets, then all of a sudden he's handsome and strong and brilliant. And if he doesn't have deep pockets, well, he's bald. Is it true or not? So that's our sad condition. So this is how the spies enter and go forth on their mission. So what happens? Let's go to the next page. And it says over here, Moses gives them an instruction. And Moses says to them, when you come to the land, take a look. Hayesh bo eitz. Is there a tree in the land? A tree? What kind of question is that? A tree? Maybe trees. Forests. But one tree? Is there one tree in the land? So what is a tree? A tree symbolizes Torah. We sing every Shabbos in the synagogue, Eitz Chaim hi, it's a tree of life. Is there someone in that land who is like a tree? Because if there is, then the land cannot be conquered. Because in his merit, the land will be powerful till he dies. One man can change the reality of the entire world. So take a look if there is a tree. Was there a tree in that land? Absolutely. You know who it was? Job. You heard of Job? Job was not a Jew. He lived in the land of Canaan. He was a righteous, holy man. That day when the spies arrived, God made a miracle. And Job died. The entire country was out and mourning him. Everybody was mourning. God made that especially so the spies should not be detected, because there was such mourning. Nobody would notice that these are strangers. And guess what? Job dies. Nobody detects them. When they go back, you know what the spies say? It's a land, ochelet yoshvecha. It eats up its inhabitants. The whole day people die. That's what they do, that they go to funerals. Do you understand this? You see what you want to see. You hear what you want to hear. no matter how brilliant you are and you could give the best explanation in the world, a man hears what he wants to hear and he sees what he wants to see, and you cannot change him because he has agenda. He has his agenda. So you say, let me talk to him. Forget it. It won't help. If he doesn't want to be changed, if he doesn't want to understand, it won't work. You could talk your heart out, you could cry, you could scream, you could be nice. It won't work. They have their own agendas. Brilliant people doesn't mean a thing. God makes a miracle, an open miracle. They are not detected. Nobody sees them. Years later, when the Jews finally enter the promised land, then Yahushua sends just 2 spies to spy out the land. Just 2, but they're righteous people. And they are almost arrested. Almost. And they are taken and they are hidden in the home of one of the most beautiful, magnificent women in the world. Her name was Rachav. She was so beautiful that kings and lords came from all over the world for her company. She was a harlot. And when she saw and she heard what happened to the Jewish people, she gave up her life and she said, I want to join the Jewish people. And she said to these 2 Jews, Pinchas and Kolev, come, I will protect you. And she hid them. And later on, the Jews entered the promised land. She was saved. And you know who she married? She married Joshua, Yahushua. She became a righteous convert. And you know who descended from her? Jeremiah. She became holy. If a man or a woman has the right aim, the right goal, and they don't have false, rotten agendas, hidden agendas, they could inherit the entire world. And God will be with them. Have agendas, hidden agendas. No matter how many miracles God will make for them, they won't get it because they don't want to get it. They make up their minds, and that's it. And you can't change them. Nothing to do with brilliance, IQ, has to do with a heart that is mean or corrupt, with eyes that do not want to see. With eyes that do not want to see. To prove this to you, I just want to take you back to the first passage. It's amazing. It says, Vayisuru es spy out the land. The word Vayisuru, spy out the land. At the end of this parsha, at the end, the same word is used when God gives us the commandment of tzitzis. What tzitzis are? Tzitzis are the fringes that a man has to wear. It says, shall not spy out after your heart. What does that mean? You have to put on tzitzis, those fringes. You see, a religious man have the tzitzis hanging out. You have to allow it to hang out. You have to see it. So you shouldn't spy after your heart. What does that mean? Doesn't make sense. Spy out the land, and the tzitzis will prevent you from spying with your heart. Listen to this. The Jewish people got into trouble. How do you prevent it? God says, now you put on tzitzis. Take a look at the tzitzis. Every morning you make a blessing on it. Remember what happened to your ancestors, to your fathers. Don't follow the dictates of your heart, what your eyes and your heart spy out. But what comes first? Is it the eye that misleads you, or is it the heart? Ein word, the eye sees, v'lev chomed, and the heart desires. You see, and the heart desires. But it says, lo sasua, don't allow your heart to mislead you. Should have said your eyes. So which one is it? You watch TV, and you see all kinds of crazy things. You want it. You want it. That's why people are so crazy these days. I have to have this, I have to have that. Because you really believe that in order to be happy, you have to have certain diamonds, you have to have certain dishes, you have to have certain homes in order to be happy. Otherwise, you won't be happy. Everything is Medicine Avenue. And they sell you a bill of goods and no one is satisfied. You live here, 5 years later, you have to decorate. The house is no good anymore. Because the latest is the latest, and you're not in the latest. You have perfectly good clothing. And after a season, you have to get rid of it because it's no longer in style. And you are depressed if you can't get one of these new outfits. You are depressed. It's a sick society. So what comes first? Your eyes that sees, or is it your heart? Ein word says the eye sees, v'halev chomed, and the heart desires. Not always. Or perhaps both are correct. You have to understand. What does the eye see? The eye sees what the heart desires. For example, if you go someplace and somebody says, hey, did you see that rock on her finger? And the other person says, I never noticed it, but she has such a lovely smile. The eye sees what the heart desires. Depends what you see, and that depends on your heart. Did you see that rock on her finger? No. But I saw her beautiful smile. What does your heart desire? That's what your eyes will see. It's a very good test. So Hashem tells every man, you put on fringes. The women did not sin. Put on fringes every morning. Make the bracha on it. So make sure that your eyes should see good things and should not desire bad things. So this way, your heart is protected. Make sure that your heart is protected and your eyes should see good things. Works both ways. This is so today. So today. So now they come. I'm going to go back to the original. So, Vayelchu vayovau, and they went, and they came back, and they came back with the way they went with their agenda, that's how they came back. When people have agendas, nobody could change them. Say, I'm going to talk to them, I'm going to take them here, I'm going to take them there. The mind is bigger than the desire of a person. The mind destroys you. So the same agenda with which they parted, they come back. But before that, I want you to see something which is amazing. Sentence 22, Vaya'alu Negev, and they went up to the desert, the Negev, the desert, like, near Beersheba, over there, the desert. Vayovo el Hebron, and they came to Hebron. Vayovo el Hebron, he came to Hebron. It doesn't say, first it says the entire group went up, and then it says just one person came. One person came to Hebron. What does that mean? What is Hebron? Hebron is the place where the patriarchs and the matriarchs are buried. All of the 10 spies decided that they are going to go through the desert. One man, Kolev ben Yefuna, went to Hebron, to the graves of the patriarchs. And he said, in the merit of my fathers and mothers, we are able to conquer this land. Fast forward, 20th century, 21st century, 1967, the 6-Day War. Hashem brings us back to Hebron, and we give it away. Today, how many Jews go to Hebron? How many? I tell you, one of the first places that we stop in always, Hebron, to say thank you and to receive a blessing from our patriarchs and our matriarchs. How many Jews go to Hebron today? You've been to Israel. Tel Aviv, yes. Yes. Restaurants, yes. Where is a good place to eat? Hebron, the graves of the patriarchs and matriarchs, you fathers, you mothers, who goes there? So it's no wonder that only one man came back with a positive report, everybody else came back negative? The way they went, that's how they came back. Has anything changed? Anything? They go to Israel, the way they go, they come back. So please God, we are going to be going to Israel this September. If anyone wants to join us, come with us. And you will see what a spiritual experience you could have. You will see Israel differently. So we continue now. And they come back. Sentence 27. Sapula, and they tell the story. Sipe means to tell the story. When you tell a story, then you embellish. You embellish. You embellish upon the story. They come back, and instead of going to Moses to report to Moses, what do? They summon the entire congregation, and they instigate the entire congregation. They instigate them. They don't go to Moses. Immediately go to the congregation. You follow me? And they instigate them. So what happens? In order to make a lie credible, how do you have to lie? You know how to lie? You have to make it credible. People should believe it. So what do? Say, oh yes, he's very nice. But, and with that but, you destroy the person and you make your lie credible. Because, she was very fair. But, so in Hebrew, in the Holy Tongue, the word but, B-U-T, is ephes. What ephes means literally? Zero. So when someone says to you, and this is what the spy said, it's a land of milk and honey, but there are giants there, we won't be able to defeat them. First you tell the truth, and then you say but. So, for example, if a man says to a girl after they go together for I don't know how long, I love you, honey, but he's not marrying you. Or if somebody says to you, I would love to invite you to my wedding, but you're not getting an invitation. You are not getting an invitation. So when someone says but, it's a polite way of saying no. Without saying no. I would love to do it, but I'm a good person. But that but means zero. Be careful with your buts. I apologize, but could be rest assured they're going to do the same thing again because they think they are right. It's a but. And that's so sad. So guess what happens now? Listen to this history, which is constantly reoccurring, because when you study the Torah, it's not from yesterday, but forever and ever. So now they tell the people, Vishomo'inu es hanephilim, we saw giants there. Bnei Anok, children of giants. And Vanahi b'nei chagovim, we felt like, in our own eyes, we felt like grasshoppers. There are grasshoppers next to them. Grasshoppers? There are grasshoppers? A Jew who stood at Mount Sinai, he should say, I'm a grasshopper? There were like grasshoppers next to them. I was in Bergen-Belsen, a little girl. I had to stand for a roll call. My head was shaved. I was covered with lice, dressed in rags. And the Germans came and they said, the Nazis, Schweinhund, pigs. And I said to myself, I stood at Sinai. If anybody's a pig, it's you. I'm not a pig and I'm not a grasshopper. A Jew should be able to say such a thing. I'm a grasshopper. And that's the whole tragedy. We don't have pride anymore. We don't know who we are. We think we are grasshoppers and we try to emulate everybody else and be like everybody else. So we should have some confidence. Build up your self-esteem. Oh, books on self-esteem. You need self-esteem. You need some confidence. You need some more money. Do you know what you need to have for self-esteem? You need some more money. You have to be dressed in the latest. You have to lose weight. Self-esteem. That's not self-esteem. And self-esteem is, I know who I am. I stood at Sinai. I have a mission in life. I've been entrusted by God to be his ambassador on this earth. I told you perhaps the story a while ago that the Queen of England made a celebration, and she invited everybody in her cabinet to come. And Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister, came. And Margaret Thatcher was mortified. She found herself wearing the same gown as the Queen. She was wearing the same dress. She couldn't wait to get home. She was so embarrassed. How could she do this, she said to herself. So as soon as she got home, she sent a note to the Queen. Please forgive me, Your Highness, if I would have known that you are going to be wearing that gown. I swear to you, she says, I would have never worn it. She receives a note back from the Queen, from the secretary, actually, of the Queen, the secretary. The secretary says, not to worry. The Queen never looks at what other people wear. She is the Queen. You are the kings. You are the queens. We are the kings. We are the queens. You know why? Not because we have a certain dress, not because we have an X amount of in our bank, in our portfolio, in real estate. You know why? Because we stood at Sinai. And we gave the world the concept of God. Until we came along, the entire world believed in idols. They were primitive. They were pagans. We gave the world the concept of love, justice, compassion. We gave the world the Ten Commandments. We gave the world the Bible, the prophets, the idea of prayer. Until we came along, no one knew how to pray. To this day, they say, Amen. That's our word from our Bible, from our prayer book. Hallelujah. That's our word. And you and I should think we are grasshoppers? Grasshoppers? Do you understand this? And once you think you're a grasshopper, then you are not a Jew anymore because you are embarrassed. You don't know what commandments are. If you would only know who you are, then you would be flying. Self-esteem you need. You have to go to certain schools and certain places to learn self-esteem. Years ago it was Dale Carnegie, remember that? Oh my gosh. That's what you have to learn, self-esteem. Just open this book and understand who you are. Do you need a certain type of a dress, a certain type of a jewelry, a certain diamond? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? So they start to cry and scream. I'm going to do this quickly now. They start to cry and scream, and they said, Moses brought us forth from Egypt to kill us. Let's go back to Egypt. Let's appoint a new leader. We are going back to Egypt. And they were crying, and they wanted to stone Moses. They wanted to stone Yeshua, Joshua, and Caleb ben Yefune, because they told him everything is going to be right. God will lead us. What are you afraid of? They wanted to stone them, to silence them. Would you believe this? And they were crying the entire night. And in the past parsha it said, we want to go back to Egypt where we're able to eat our food free. They had our food free. Food free in Egypt. You know what they got free? Beatings. Say we had food that was delicious, free. What do you mean by that? You know what they mean? In the desert, they were fed by the manna. The manna would fall, and they would pick up the manna. If you took more manna than you needed for that day, the manna became rotten, and there were worms around your tent. Because God wants to teach us to trust, not to be greedy, and to know that God will provide for you, but don't be greedy. Just enough for that day. Can you imagine living this way today? Your fridge is empty except for what you need for that day. You go crazy. No bank account, you go crazy. Today we live in a world you have to have insurance for this, insurance for that, and insurance for this, and you get all crazy. I don't have flood insurance, I don't have this insurance, I have that insurance. What if the sky falls down? Insurance for the sky falling down. And it's true. Because we are so insecure, because we don't know that God is there. And we don't, this entire generation. Not just some people, all of us. So in Egypt, they were able to get their food without anyone watching from above. Whatever they had, didn't have to consider that God is above them. So that's why they didn't want to enter the land of Israel. You know why? Because they wanted to see, is that a normal land? Where if you plant, you have the food? Or is that also a land where you have to look up constantly? And guess what? Israel is a land where you have to look up constantly. It's the only land that rains only from in the winter months. Pesach to Sukkot, it doesn't rain. There's no rain. And if God forbid it doesn't rain in the winter months, there is famine. So always have to pray. We have the holiest prayer, just like Yom Kippur. The man, the chazan who prays, has to put on a white kittel, a white robe. You know what it's called, that prayer? Geshem, we pray for rain. I knew a man who was the head of the UJA years ago, the Jewish agency, and he told me that he came from Minsk in Russia. And his father was crying, Geshem, please give us rain. And the rain was pouring outside. And he said, Daddy, why are you crying for rain? It's pouring outside. So the father said, Mein Kind in Yiddish, my child, this is nicht unser Regen, this is not our rain. Our rain is in Eretz Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael is dry. So they wanted to see, is this land someplace where you have to pray for rain? Because if we don't have to pray, we don't want to pray for our natural sustenance. We want to be able to work, and we want to know that it's there. Shouldn't depend on God. And they come to a land and they see they have to keep praying. And not only that, you know what else? This land is surrounded on every side by enemies. There's no place to go except the sea. Fast forward, what is happening in Israel today? No place to go but into the sea. If God forbid, God forbid. I don't want to say it, but all the nations that are surrounding Israel, the entire world is converging upon Israel. And we don't want to believe it, we want to face it. You know why? Because God wants us to look up. But we don't look up. You know where we look? We look at the UN, we look at Moscow, we look at Washington, we look at everybody, but not up. I read so many articles saying, say those words to the leaders of Israel. God gave us this land. It's in the Bible. And somehow those words never come out from their lips. Netanyahu, the prime minister, God bless him and give him strength and long years, made a beautiful speech, except one word was missing. God. This is the land that was given to us as a divine inheritance. And this book, the Torah, testifies to it. And the entire world, all of you ladies and gentlemen, believe in this book. That's where Christianity, that's where the Muslim came forth. There is no other nation on planet Earth that has its borders outlined in this book. And in all these years, this land waited for us to come home. Not one nation. Not the ancient Romans, not the ancient Babylonians, not the Medes, not the Greeks. Not in modern world, the Turks, the British, or the Arabs could make that land bloom, because God said he will lock up the land till we come home. It will be a land of thistles and stones and desert. Has it been that way? And then people make stupid jokes and they say, listen, God made a mistake. Listen, God, you made a mistake. You gave all the oil to, over there and over there. I mean, it's in the same neighborhood. Why don't you give a little oil over here also in Israel? Thank God that God didn't. You know why? Can you imagine? New York City was bought from the Indians for $26. What if the Indians would want to come back today and say to Mayor Bloomberg, we are ready to give $100 and we want to get back New York City? How about $1 trillion? There's no price. New York City would never be given over. So if that land would have been a land with oil, do you think that we could have returned to that land? Do you understand? All of God's punishments are God's blessings. So that night they cried the entire night, and they wept, and they wept. Oh, we have to go back to Egypt. So God said, because you wept for no reason, forever and ever till Messiah will come, you will weep this night. And that night became Tisha B'Av, the night when the Holy Temple was destroyed. And all the great tragedies that befell the Jewish people in every generation came out on that night. The Spanish Inquisition could go through in every generation. First World War, which led to the Holocaust, on that night. And let me conclude by just one word, one little story. Napoleon was a good friend of the Jewish people. I don't know if you are aware of that. Some of the rabbis were hoping that he would not win because he was such a good friend that they were afraid that he would break down the walls of the ghettos and the Jews would be lost in assimilation. And so it was. Napoleon broke down the walls of the ghettos, and Jews left the ghettos, and they joined secular society, and they were swallowed up in the great melting pot. The yeshivas were abandoned, and the universities took their place. The concert halls, the theater, took their place, and Jews forgot who they are. Now Napoleon is going with his army through the cities of France. They come to a little village, and they pass a little synagogue, and he hears crying and wailing. So he stops, and he says to one of his soldiers, go inside and see why these Jews are crying. Soldier comes back and says, Your Highness, they say that somebody destroyed their temple. What? Who dares to destroy the temple of the Jews? Find out which province, which community, I'll take care of them. They go back. They come back a few minutes later. Your Highness, we don't know how to tell you this, but the temple that they are crying for, it was over 1,000 years ago. In this place called Jerusalem. So Napoleon says, by God, a nation that can cry for a temple destroyed over thousands years ago in a far place like Jerusalem will see that temple rebuilt. This is from an non-Jew. I wonder how many Jews understand this. Today, on Tisha B'Av, which is coming quite soon, Jews don't even know it's Tisha B'Av. Hanukkah everybody knows because it corresponds to Christmas. But Tisha B'Av, the day when our temple was destroyed, who knows when it is Tisha B'Av? And even if they know, who knows how to cry? Oh, I know everybody knows how to cry. Forgive me this and give me that. I want more. Give me health. Give me money. Give me a bride. Give me a groom. Give me children. Give me. We know how to cry. But did you ever shed a tear, just one teardrop, for you people? Don't answer me. But before you go to sleep tonight, ask, did I ever cry for my people? Did I ever cry for the temple that is no more? Did I ever cry for Jerusalem? Did I ever cry? And if you didn't, then say to God, forgive me. I'm lost in America. It's been a long time. It's like 2,000 years. I'm lost. But teach me how to cry for my people. Teach me, God. Give me tears for my people. Give me tears for Jerusalem. Give me those tears. Ask for it. So with God's help, we should see Jerusalem rebuilt. We should see the Holy Temple again. And we are coming now to the month of Tammuz, when the walls of Jerusalem were breached, and later on, when the temple was destroyed. We never forgot the temple. At every wedding, we break a glass. People think that you break a glass for some stupid reasons. I don't even want to say what people think. It's not appropriate. But you know why we break a glass? We break a glass because whenever we have joy, we remember Jerusalem. We never forget it. In the midst of the joy that we experience, we remember Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, Jerusalem, and the temple. My grandson got married just recently. So before the chuppah ceremony, my grandson, his brother, came to get me that I should go to the bridegroom. You know what he was doing? Of course, he wanted a blessing, which I gave him. But you know what he was doing? His brother was placing ash on his forehead, ashes. Why? To remember Jerusalem. You're going down the aisle, the happiest day in your life. Ashes on your head. To remember Jerusalem. To remember the temple. It's thousands of years. We have traversed the four corners of the world. But the yud can never be changed. Remember what I told you? The yud must remain the same, because if you make it longer, wider, if you play around with it, it's no longer a yud. The Jew is a Jew is a Jew. Forever and ever. And if anyone ever tells me that a Jew is assimilated, I say no. No Jew is assimilated. Jew may have forgotten, but as soon as you touch his heart, he comes back. I have never seen in all my life, I have never met a Jew who cannot be touched. I have spoken to the most hostile audiences. People who were sitting like this, waiting for battle. And when I would leave, their eyes would melt with tears. And their hearts would not desire secularism, but the hearts would desire the Word of God. That's the Jew. So never forget who you are. You're not a grasshopper. You stood at Sinai, and no one else is greater than you. You don't need to take lessons in self-esteem. You don't need anything for self-esteem. Just look into your heart and know who you are. That's the greatest self-esteem you could possibly have. Tonight, as always, we are going to give you a blessing as you leave. We are going to share with you challah in honor of Shabbos. It's a gift from Chaya Golda Feger Bas Yitzchak, who is in the heavens above. Her daughter is going to distribute the challah, her daughter Fredel, because it's given with love and blessing, and she loved every person. And we're going to give you something else also. We are coming now to the difficult months, Tammuz and Av, when the temple was destroyed and the walls of Jerusalem were first breached. So I would like you to enter those 2 months with a blessing. Pesach was a blessing because God brought us forth from Egypt. So I bought special matzah, which was baked by hand by holy rabbis. So you should have that matzah to take home with your challah, that Hashem should sustain us with blessing during these coming months. We'd once again go forth from Egypt, because in every generation there is an Egypt. God should take us out personally and as a nation from Egypt. We should all see the temple rebuilt. I love you all very much. Hashem should be with you. Gentlemen, Ma'ariv, and all those who are in the back, please join us as well. And I'm so glad to see you. I hope you heard the lesson. I hope you had the microphone there. And if not, I'll try to improve upon it next time. But I do hope you heard it. So good Shabbos to everyone, and thank you.